Hello, animal communicators, and welcome to this week's free power training, the place to come for all your top tips, hints, and strategies in all things animal communication in just 10 minutes. So, today I am actually answering a question that was put into my animal communication practice group in Facebook, and it's all about the 3-second rule. And I'll let you know right now that it's got nothing to do with food and your food being safe from germs. So let me dive into that super juicy training with you. But first, just in case you don't know me, my name is Sarah Jane LeBlanc, and I'm a professional animal communicator, trainer, mentor, and coach. And I have been teaching people how to communicate with animals for more than 20 years. And whilst I teach from complete beginner all the way up to professional practitioner level, what I have learned in the last few years is that my absolute zone of genius is working with those who want to be or are already working as professional animal communicators. Now, you might be asking, what makes that your zone of genius? How do you know that that is your zone of genius? So let me answer that for you. I also bring to the table two really important components for an animal communication trainer. One, my background, my formal background, my training, my degree is in education. So I already have a formalized background in teaching and in training. But secondly, and this is the most important bit, I bring more than 30 years experience as a trained therapist and a certified coach, where I have worked with hundreds of people working out how to get to the bottom of an issue, working out and using strategies that help me dive deeper with my clients so that we can create lasting transformational change. And I bring all of those people skills to my animal communication programs, where I translate those people skills into animal communication strategies so that you can be working with the animals, making that kind of deep digging difference, getting right to the bottom of an issue and being able to create that kind of change for the animals that you work with. Because here's the thing, it's because of that every single intake on my program, every intake without fail, a student who is still learning makes transformational change in behavior cases that paid professional animal communicators before them have not been able to make. And here's a student who's still learning, able to create change that sometimes several professional animal communicators before them have not been able to do. So it's bringing all of those people skills to the table so that I can really help you up-level your animal communication work from ordinary to extraordinary. Because I don't want you to be ordinary. I want you to be extraordinary. And I know that that's what you desire for yourself too. So if you are ready to up-level your skill to extraordinary level, and you want to know more about how you can do that, I'd be delighted for you to reach out and we can have a chat and see how I can help you move forward in your animal communication work. Contact details are in the post. So let's look at today's juicy power training, and it's all around the 3-second rule and the question that one of the members of my practice group sent in. The lovely Claire sent this question in. She said, I have a question which I hope doesn't sound silly. Well, here's the first thing. Any question in my book is not a silly question. The only silly question is the one that you were too scared to ask. So she says, I have a question which I hope doesn't sound silly. How do you work with the 3-second rule as opposed to allowing the animal to answer and giving them the space to figure out the best way or the best avenue to send the information to you? So let us just take the question apart a little bit. We'll do a little bit of deconstruction. So I want to, first of all, create clarity on what the 3-second rule is. Here in the UK, we have a kind of legendary chef's rule, which is the 3-second rule. When you drop your favorite food on the floor, if you quickly get to it before 3 seconds, then it magically doesn't have any germs on it and you can safely eat it. So that is the legendary 3-second chef's rule that we have here in the UK, not to be confused with the 3-second animal communication rule. So I just want to get that nice and cleared up. So what is the 3-second animal communication rule? This is where you are taught that the information that comes in when you ask a question, the information that comes in from the animal in those first 3 seconds, that's the information that you want to get recorded. That is your most truthful, most accurate, least tainted information. that's what the 3-second rule is. You want to really focus on the information that came in the first 3 seconds. Now, here's the thing. I do not teach the 3-second rule in any of my animal communication programs, because the very reason this question has come in is because sometimes animals need space. They need space to process the question that you've just asked. They might have a couple of different ways that they could respond. So they're also working out what avenue to go down and with their response. And then they also need to decide how they're going to send that information to you. So there are potentially quite a few different things all going on at the same time for the animal when you have asked that question. So I don't teach the 3-second rule because sometimes that space is there. And in more than 20 years of supporting people to be able to speak and connect and communicate with animals, when I do their transcribed feedbacks at professional practitioner level, I'm seeing over and over again the amount of times where a student has written, I asked the question and there was a big space and they didn't say anything. So sometimes our animals need space, and animals, I believe, are animals and sentient beings just like we are, that they sometimes need space. They sometimes need time to think through a response and decide the most suitable response to gift to you. So that's why I don't teach that. But I do want to be clear that I absolutely do subscribe to the concept that that first information that comes in is always usually the cleanest, the least tainted, and therefore most likely to be the most accurate. And I'll share with you why that is. And it's because the logical brain hasn't had time to kick in. So if the information comes through thick and fast, as it usually does in my own consultations, when it comes through thick and fast, the brain hasn't had time to make it up. And that's basically what's going on there. Your brain hasn't had time to make up an answer yet. But after those first few crucial seconds, the logical brain does have time to kick in and to start questioning and to start doubting and to start just maybe even interpreting the information in its own way. So that's where the information becomes, or has potential to become, a bit more tainted. So that's why the 3-second rule was devised, or that's where it comes from. And I agree with the concept of those first vital seconds of information being the most accurate, for sure. But I don't agree that if something hasn't come in 3 seconds time, that you've lost connection with the animal or they're not answering you. So I'm going to bring you to one of my favorite strategies that I teach students on my program, and it's simply this: treat your communication like a conversation with a friend. So if you're having a conversation with a friend and you ask them a question, there was a big pause, you're not going to be right on them. You're going to ask them some questions to just clarify, did they understand? So that's where I would go first. Check in with the animal. Can I just check with you? Did you understand what I've just asked? And they're going to either say yes or no, and then you take it wherever it needs to go. And if they didn't understand, or if they say, I think so, then you can say, would you like me to present it to you in a different way? And then you ask them it in a completely different way. And then you check in with them. Is that clearer? Or does that help you understand what it is that I'm looking for? And again, you're going to get a yes or a no, and you just follow the animal's lead. So here's the thing. When we have a big silence, especially if you're a talker or a fixer, silences can be really, really uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. And then when we feel that discomfort, we want to make that discomfort go away. And the easiest way to make the discomfort of silence go away is to fill it. So we plug that silence by talking or moving on to the next question. So I just invite you, as an animal communicator, to own that discomfort. That's yours. Don't put it on the animal by plugging up that space. Own it. And I just invite you to count to 10. Do a nice slow count to 10. As soon as that discomfort kicks in, do a slow count to 10. Then speak to the animal and just ask, as I've already outlined, are you clear on the question that I've asked? Or do you understand what it is that I'm looking for? Whatever phrasing that you want to use, you bring that in then, but don't dive in straight away as soon as you feel uncomfortable. That's your stuff, my lovely. That's your stuff. Own it. Sit with the discomfort and let the animal have the time that they need. So that's my first piece there. Treat it like a conversation with a friend. And as such, If you were with a friend, you would be checking in with them. You would give them the space that they needed. You wouldn't assume that they hadn't heard you. You wouldn't assume that they didn't want to answer you. So that's the most important piece there. And then lost my train of thought for a moment there. Where was I going? Oh yes. When it comes to rules, because the question here is really about what do you do? What do you follow? So I'm really super clear on this one. You follow the animal always. Animal led over rules always. Always, always, always. So whatever rules you may have been taught, there are a lot of rules out there in animal communication work. So whatever rules you may have been taught in your animal communication journey so far, if that's not matching with how the animal's presenting, go with the animal always. If the animal needs time, give them time. If they need space, give them space. If they need clarification, give the clarification. So always be led by the animal, because here's what happens. Especially if this is a complex piece for the animal or something that really creates a deep emotional response. Maybe they have fear around something. Maybe they're worried about upsetting their guardian. So anything that has a potentially strong emotional response for that animal or a complex situation, if you're there filling the gap, plugging your discomfort, hounding with more questions, or assuming that they have decided not to answer and you're moving on to the next question, you are not holding a safe space for that animal. And that's what you want to do as an animal communicator. You want to hold a safe, sacred space for that animal to be how they need to be, to give them the space they need, the time they need, the clarification they need, the understanding they need, the support they need, the encouragement they need, the love that they need. And when you do all of that, and then you just sit back and hold that space in love and give them whatever time they need, you can let them know. If you've asked if they need more time and they say yes, then you say, that's fine, take your time, I'm here. And if you need anything else from me, just ask. And then you hold that space. And where this is magical is that if the animal is dealing with something really deep rooted or something that's really delicate or complex, you have already earned their trust by holding them, witnessing them, and not pushing them, not forcing them or making assumptions. So when you've got their trust, when they do come back to you, when they are ready, they are more likely to give you their deepest, most honest response to that question. So quite a lot in there. So just to quickly summarize that for you, the 3-second rule, animal led over rules always. When you're animal led, you build trust. When you build trust, you create deeper connections, deeper relationships, and you can go further in your communication work. That's a sign teaching there. Also, treat it like a conversation with a friend. Go back and ask, do you need more time? Did you understand the question? That's the first place to go. Did they understand the question? And if they did, do they need more time? Then just reassure them that you're there for them. So treat it like a conversation with a friend, and always, always, always animals and how they need to go in the communication over any training, any rules, or any strategy that you might have been taught. Trust that was helpful for you. If you've got any comments, please feel free to leave them below, and I will see you same time, same place next week. Until then, happy communicating.